So I'm driving my fan boat through the Himalayas when all of a sudden this guy with a machete gets all aggro and charges me. Next thing you know, I oblige he and his friends in a less than friendly game of pass the bullet. Before long, reinforcements are brought in and I'm overwhelmed. And the best thing about this is, besides the fact that I'm driving a fan boat through the Himalayas, is that all of this was unscripted. None of this was meant to happen the way it did happen, and it will never happen the exact same way again. Welcome to Far Cry 4, a world where pragmatic savagery is essential for your survival. A world where you hunt the hunted, and even the hunters too. In Far Cry 4, you play as Ajay Ghale, an American brought to Civil War-torn Kyrat in an attempt to spread your mother's ashes. Well, your mother was a tricky old hag and knew that you'd be caught up in the Civil War too, so you must fight with the rebel army called the Golden Path in order to eliminate the villain, Pagan Min, as well as his royal army. If you've played Far Cry 3, none of this will really surprise you. It seems to be almost a paint-by-numbers type of video game. You have your giant open map filled with radio towers blocking out your mini-map, and outposts scattered throughout the land just begging for you to liberate them. And liberating outposts is the best part of the game, because you can do it however you want. You can sneak around and take down guards one by one, disabling alarms, and do it completely stealthily, without being caught or seen or heard. Or if you want, you can rain hell from your mini-helicopter and shoot grenades 20 feet above the head of all your enemies. Or you can even get on the back of an elephant and destroy anything that stands in your path. And all of this player choice really makes the game incredibly fun, because you can upgrade your skill tree in any way that you see fit. You can do it in a way that makes you more stealthy, a way that allows you to take down guards in successive streaks, or if you want, you can upgrade your syringes that allows you to hold your breath underwater or to hunt your enemies more aptly. Player choice is the name of the game, and when you're hunting outposts, the game randomly throws in different variables at you all the time. You can be hunting a band of enemies when all of a sudden a truck full of the Golden Path rebels just pulls up alongside and blows your plans to shit along with the enemies. Or you can be caught up in a heated firefight down to your last breath when all of a sudden a tiger out of nowhere charges you and attacks. All of this is completely possible and completely unpredictable. What's happened for me will not happen for you. It's when the game delivers its structured levels, its structured missions, that actually seems to falter a little bit. You see, just like Far Cry 3, this game has an incredibly charismatic and despicable enemy, Pagan Min. He seems to be a combination of Kim Jong-il, Robert Downey Jr., and a dash of latent homosexuality. And he's one of the best parts of the game.
Let's see here. Really, guys? We're not checking for these anymore? I'm with Ajay Ghale. You'll love this part. Help. A text for help. You don't text for help, you cry for help.
He's not likable, but god damn it, he's interesting. And so it seems baffling when all of a sudden he just disappears for the middle 75% of the game, and he's only nice enough to give you radio messages when he can be bothered to.
RJ?
Yes?
Awesome. Oh, just making sure you've been listening.
That leaves you with the side characters, who are never as interesting as Pagan Min is. You've got the pair of druggies, who seem to really only exist to give you drugs for you to go on hallucination missions on.
Well, maybe you needed a longer fall. Maybe we need a higher table.
All of which are pretty much the same. If you've played one, you've played them all. They're not great, they're not terrible, they just are. Or they're the main two characters within the Golden Paths themselves. Two leaders vying for ultimate control of the Golden Path.
This is about lives. We don't act, people will die.
This is about war. We need that intel.
What's great is that this game allows you to choose which one of these leaders you follow. You have the more reactionary leader who's interested in the traditions of Kyrat. Or you have the more radical and the more revolutionary leader who's interested in creating equal worlds for women and eliminating any institution that has held them down. And to the game's complete credit, it's actually quite difficult to choose who you want to side with. Both sides have great points, and both sides are right within different lights. It's disappointing, however, at the very end when the payoff isn't worth the build-up. The dynamics between these two characters is actually really compelling, so at the very end you would at least hope that when you choose to put one in power instead of the other, there would be wildly different endings. When in reality, both of the endings are pretty much the exact same. You just replaced one dictator with another. Like I said before, it is very similar to Far Cry 3, and actually a few ways it's worse than Far Cry 3, because with that game, at least I cared about the main character. Jason Brody had an arc to him. He started off as this rich white boy, and eventually turned into a savage. With Ajay Ghale, however, there's really no rhyme or reason for why he does what he does. He seems to only take part in the Civil War in a country that he's never even been to. He only seems to join it because someone asked him nicely to. It's not that Ajay Ghale is a bad character, he's a non-character. There's no real facets to him. I never really get the feeling of substance and life behind my character. So when Pagan Min disappears in the middle of the game, you're left with this empty husk of a character. He doesn't really grow in any significant way. And in relation to Far Cry 3, sure, there are definitely improvements. The cutscenes are pretty. The world of Kyrat is more interesting to me than the world of Far Cry 3. However, it doesn't really grow the way you would hope a sequel would. That can kind of be forgiven, as this is the first Far Cry game on the new consoles. I look forward to the next Far Cry game, when the developers have had a chance to master the nuances and push the hardware to its limits. Far Cry 4 is an incredibly satisfying and an incredibly addictive game. Within 40 hours of play, I've only finished 40% of it. I've beaten the campaign, but there's still more than half of the world that I've yet to see, and I cannot wait to get back to it.